and welcome to part 3 of Talking Walls. I hope you've had a chance to write a description of the room around you, that you've had a chance to have a look at the maps, and that you're ready for the next part of our recording, which is all of the visual things. Today we're going to very quickly look at drawings and photographs. We don't need to go into too much detail here because you're just doing this for your own benefits. It would be more pertinent if you were doing like a professional recording, that you have these kind of records. But I think it's worth covering them. It'll be interesting to look at. So first of all, we're going to have a quick crack at drawing, and then very, very brief discussion of photography. It's going to be a much shorter video this time, so I hope you enjoy it. And so first of all, here's a quick look at drawing. So if we're going to look at this, we're going to need a few pieces of equipment. A tape measure, a pen or pencil, and a bit of paper. So the first thing you want to put down is the name of the person who's doing it, where it's being done, its location, the date, and what kind of drawing you're producing. In this case, we're doing a plan. You also need to make sure you have a north arrow, and make sure that it is pointing north, and not just as one person I know thought north was the direction that they were looking. So here we have, this is a plan view. It's an imagined top-down view of any building that you are recording. And you can see here that we're putting on all of the features that we can see. And you look, the solid bit of this, that's the wall, and then the dotted line denotes where a doorway is, or anything that is overhead. So how do you decide what to put on and what not to put on a drawing? Well, as we can see from this tiny little man here, hello little man, we have an imaginary line at waist height when you go into a building. So in this instance, whilst that window is there, it wouldn't appear on the drawing, but the door would, because our imaginary line cuts through it. And that's what it looks like on the drawing. You can see no window, but the door is there, and the dotted line to denote that it continues overhead. Now with measurements, you always want to start at the same point and always measure from the same position. And the reason for this, and let me just get the tape measure here. In place. If you start measuring from the end of each point that you've recorded, any mistakes you've made in the distance might... Oh my god, there's an ant! Oh no! We're under attack. The tiny man is in danger. Where is it? Where is it? Is it gone? Where's the ant gone? It's here he goes. Yeah. Go on, get out of it. Go away. Get away. Yeah, you better run. Yeah, I'm going to tape measure you. Oh, that was close. Anyway, so that's what you would do with a plan drawing. And there are lots of other images and drawing conventions that you would use. And you can find those in the Historic England Guideline. The next drawing we're going to look at is an elevation. This is an external drawing and looks something like this when you get it finished. Now, obviously, all of these drawings are sketch drawings with measurements added to them. And again, you put the name, location, date, but in this case, east-facing elevation. So it's the direction that the walls are looking on the compass point. And again, we're adding the measurements to this sketch drawing, but you can also use annotations like this step one to show that the wall is coming away from the face. It's something you'd also be able to see on the plan view, but if you've only got the elevation drawing, it helps to add it. You can also add in things like aesthetic elements. Here we have, it's not part of the walls necessarily, it's not a line, but it just helps people know. So there you go. That's how you do plans and elevations. And where'd that ant go? Sorry. Oh no! There's hundreds of them! Help! I managed to fight them off. So, that's drawing finished. Now let's have a very quick look at photography. Now, with photographs, you are trying to get a best record of how the site, building, or feature looked at the time of the recording. So make sure that you take as many angles as possible. If you're using a digital camera, there is no such thing as too many photographs. You can just keep shooting and keep shooting and keep shooting. It'll take a bit of time at the other end to edit it out and pick out the ones that you need, but it's better to have taken too many than go back and find out that you haven't got the coverage that you want. Most digital cameras now, and even camera phones, actually produce pretty decent images. You don't need to have any fancy equipment. You can go down that side of things, but I honestly think that for what we're producing for level 2, just using your own phone is perfectly acceptable. Some companies have actually started toying with the idea of doing video recording of sites as well, to give more of an idea of how you move around in space, the interactions between corridors and rooms and things like that. You could try doing that yourself. If you were going to present this as an academic thing, all you have to remember is how would you show those videos to somebody. You don't want to be the person who's trapped their family in the living room watching a slow 5-minute meander through the house, something that you could just take them on a walking tour of your own house. That's fun. We could get velvet ropes for everyone and just not allow anyone in the kitchen. Anyway, so photography, there's just a few things that you need to remember. Make a record of every one of the shots that you've taken. Using one of the plans that you've just produced is a really good way of doing it. Copy it in some way, or if you can get original floor plans of your house, even better. And then just mark on the direction that you've taken the photograph, like literally put an arrow on where you were stood and point it towards, or best fit towards what you're looking at. And if you were doing it to a more professional level, you'd have a register with all individual numbers given over to each of the photographs you take, so that you can very quickly cross-reference between the plan and the image, and you know exactly where on the site, where on the building, and what feature you were looking at in each still. It's a good way of making sure that everyone who's looking at your record subsequently is on the same page. The other thing that you need in a register is to record the direction of the view, not just on the plan, but actually write it out, north, northwest, all that sort of thing. If you were switching between cameras, if you're doing black and white or colour, you have to say which one you're using. And very importantly, have on your image itself a scale. Because it's all well and good taking a picture of a feature. If you have absolutely no idea of how big or small it is, it's useless to you. So you can use something like this, which is available from the website that's written on it there. And you can see that if you flip it onto the other side, it has printed on it a small scale. This is perfectly acceptable for what you'll be doing. You can go, use much larger ones, 1 meter, 50 centimeter, whatever you use. Just make sure that you write that on the register as well, because if it hasn't got the numbers on it, it might as well be, 5 bananas length. You need to actually know the size of it so that the scale works as a scale on the picture. If you don't want to spend the money on that, or if you don't want to have delivery men coming to your house for what is essentially a small piece of plastic, you can use a ruler, you can use a tape measure like this, anything that you know the length of, so that it is clear in the image straight away how big everything is. And that is the basics of photography. Once you've got that down, you don't really need to know anything else. So like I said, only a short one today, but there's a couple of interesting things for you to have a go at, have a crack at them. The drawings that we did were just measured sketches. You can go into using proper permatrace, which is made from fish scales, freaky stuff, with the grids on them, but it's not what we need to cover for these sort of taster workshops, but worth looking into if you wanted to become a little bit more serious. And as I say, the guide to recording historic standing buildings, which is available as a PDF on the Historic England website, does have a guide to drawing conventions in the back. Have a look at those and it'll show you all of the symbols that you need to use on the drawings. Okay, that's the end of this section. I hope you enjoy having another crack at trying a new skill. And next time for part 4, it's going to be a bit different. I'm going to be talking to you about what it is about buildings that I find exciting, important, and why we should preserve their memory for future generations. All right, keep safe. I'll catch you in part 4. Bye-bye.